All right. Somebody had sent me this, and actually on Instagram, and they really wanted me to check it out. It seems like an interesting video. The title is a doozy. That's the biggest reason why I was like, oh, sure, I'll watch it. Anyway, it's called Anti-Trans Bigot Calls Police on Mom Who Took Non-Verbal Autistic Son into Woman's Bathroom. That's a doozy. So let's take a look at this. Hey.
When it comes to LGBTQ plus issues, the climate around the world lately has gotten so toxic that it's even affecting people who aren't part of the LGBTQ plus community.
True. I mean, listen, I can understand why some people would be skeptical about some aspects of LGBTQ, especially if they're very religious centered. I obviously disagree with those people. But if they're very religiously centered, I get it, right? I do understand that. That being said, there's no conservative platform outside of being anti-LGBTQ. And I've heard people say, like, no, it's just, it's really just trans people. No, it's not. Last year, big names like Ted Cruz were trying to ban gay marriage. This is happening everywhere. Like, it's all of the LGBTQ that is under some kind of attack. And it's not just some criticisms here, and then let's also talk about different ways to empower the middle class or deal with a healthcare issue or deal with any, there's nothing. It's just, and I think that's a big part of it. It's like, we have no other platform. Let's be very hateful to gay and trans people. I truly believe that. I think there's a lot of reasonable people who maybe will tune into some of the conversations, and then maybe they'll get radicalized in a capacity. But there's really nothing else outside of that. So it's a frustrating situation, and it's not a great time to be LGBTQ, man. Like, I'd be a little scared. Me personally, I wouldn't though, actually, because I have a gay shirt that I wear. It says pride on it or something, or peace or love, and it's like rainbow. I wear it all the time. People give me weird looks when I wear that shirt. You know what shirt I'm talking about, right? Like, I've worn it on stream before. But I like it because one time I'm a 6'4", 350-pound bearded guy. I look like a conservative racist. So I remember one time I went to Walmart and I wore my pride shirt because it was hot out, And this was when I wasn't really wearing this stuff. And I went to Walmart, and this young girl that like looked LGBTQ to me looked at me and said, "Oh, nice shirt," and she smiled, and I was like, "Oh, that's nice. Like, this person's not afraid of me." It made me feel nice that like the average person wasn't afraid of me. Because that's the thing that I deal with sometimes, is people being afraid of me or scared to like look in my direction. I'm not the most approachable person. So when that person, I was like, oh, that's cool. And so now I like to wear it because it signals to people that like, I don't hate you. You know what I mean? So I like wearing it. It makes me feel nice. So.
For example, in June, a man from Kelowna, British Columbia, reportedly accosted a 9-year-old athlete who was competing in a girls' track event, and he accused her of being trans, while his wife allegedly called her parents groomers.
What? Was she? I'm so confused.
However, the little girl who he attacked was not trans, she was cis. But that's not all, because
So why were they attacking them? So now they're sore losers, so they want to accuse the kid of being trans? What is wrong with these people? That's unhinged.
Last week, 2 teachers from Baytown, Texas were fired from the First Baptist Academy where they taught
is First Baptist Academy sounds like a religious school. Of course, they're insane.
After attending a drag show on their own time.
That's stupid. That is insane. I understand the conversation about not having drag in schools, and I don't even agree with most conservatives. My perspective is the LGBTQ is a massive amount of different people, and I don't think that it's the best to use drag people to be representative. I don't think it's necessarily bad, but considering the social conversation gets a little toxic, why not just have somebody that's not in drag talk to your kids at an assembly and be like, hey guys, here's why it's okay to be gay. Like, here's why it's okay to be trans. But like, some people take it as a provocative step with drag. I'm not saying that they're right, but at the end of the day, it's such a small subculture, and I feel like it's not positive. It's not really positive. It's not really helping, in my opinion. So there'd probably be a better approach. But going to whatever you want to do on your own time, wild that she's fired. That's crazy.
And since that is a private religious school, their termination for that reason is apparently A-okay.
That's crazy.
Because freedom. But those two stories speak to the so-called groomer panic that has been created by the right over the course of the last couple of years. But more and more people in...
Let me tell you, the left is doing it on the internet. I'll tell you that much.
increasingly are getting caught
But
up.
not nearly as much as the conservatives are in like the real world. But I'm saying that weaponization of a lot of different things are, you know, the word groomer is losing its meaning, whether it's a conservative or like somebody in the online sphere calling everything grooming. It really is losing its what it means. I mean, it means nothing anymore because of these people. It's insane. The word is like it's such a horrible, terrible thing that mostly will happen to children, whether it's to exploit them, you know, physically, or to get them to join a gang or a terrorist organization or sell drugs. Like, we're talking about, like, that's what it means to be a groomer. And now it just means that you exist and you might have an influence on somebody. Because if you see a gay person that's like happy with themselves, you might have a positive influence from that. Like, I mean, here's my thing. If you're somebody in drag and you're going around wearing drag openly, like, you could think it's silly, and I look at it and go, that's a little weird. But then also, you're talking about somebody who's so comfortable, they're comfortable in their own body. So they're like walking around, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, it's the same thing as like a furry. Like, oh, that's cringe. But like, look at how comfortable they are. Like, you see that guy with my build dressed as Deku at the anime convention. You're like, well, that's weird. But you know what? That person is clearly happy. You know what I mean? Do I think that T should be separated from LGBTQ? No, of course not. I think that's the most ridiculous thing in the entire world, because I've seen progressives say it. I've seen Destiny say it. I like Destiny a lot, but I think it's a silly thing to say for a few reasons. I mean, the first reason is because historically, back in the day, when there was less access to different, you know, we'll say medical interventions, mental health interventions, you know, different hormonal interventions and everything, as well as societal acceptance, we didn't have access to that either. People who were trans identified as gay, right? And so, like, it is very much like nowadays, like, somebody can't, like, back in the day, like, there's a follower of mine who used to identify as, I believe, a gay woman, and now identifies as like a straight male because they're older and it's more accepted now. And so, like, there's a lot of people who are like that. So historically, the two are bound together. But just from like an optics perspective, if you separate the T from the LGBT, what does that signal? It signals like, get away from us. You're an outsider. That does nothing positive. It's just completely sows division. So there's nothing positive about separating that. I think it's mostly I think it's like an ignorant point, you know. So
Up in this smear campaign against queer people. Another one is Christine Gallinaro and her 15-year-old son, who happens to be autistic and nonverbal. So on June 16th, she took him to see Disney's Elemental at a theater in Hazlet, New Jersey.
What do you think? Because I didn't like it. The worst part about the Disney Elemental movie was the short that they played before it. The short that they played before it was a story about Carl from the movie Up going on a date with another woman. And I have to tell you that it shattered me. It shattered me because I like the movie Up made me as a grown man cry several times. Not like bawl, like all, but I had tears running down my face. My wife was next to me, red in the face, sobbing. But it made me cry, and I loved the devotion that Carl had to his wife. I thought it was a very beautiful, special thing. And for him, and I understand some other couples, maybe someone passes away and they move on, and I get that. But like, not Carl. You know, Carl's not allowed to move on. You know, he's just not allowed to. And he did, and it just made me really upset. It destroyed the mythology of Carl for me. So,
and the experience was an absolute nightmare for her and her son, thanks to transphobes. Because as NJ.com reports, the incident began when Gallinaro's son needed to use the bathroom, and she took him into the women's restroom.
Oh, so her son must have like, well, the son has autism, and it must be like higher support needed, and he must need help to go to the bathroom. It's not that big of a deal. Okay.
There is no family restroom at the Cinemark in Hazlet, according to the lawsuit. My son is not equipped to go into a men's bathroom in a public setting alone, Gallinaro told NJ Advanced Media last week. I took him to the women's bathroom. There were other women in the restroom, some of them mothers, she said. Right away, they see he's with me. They pick up why he's in the bathroom with me, she said, noting that she noticed one woman looking at me smiling. The 59-year-old manager...
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's, you know, you could probably maybe be able to tell in some capacity when somebody's higher support needed. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? That's life, brother.
The movie theater wasn't as understanding, the suit alleges. The manager angrily approached and shouted blatantly discriminatory remarks toward the mother and the 15-year-old, the lawsuit alleges.
Why wouldn't the manager just say like, "Hey, excuse me"? Well, first, like, why did you say excuse me? How come your son's using the woman's restroom? And the woman would just be like, "Oh, you know, my son has autism and he's like higher support needed, and I need to help him." Oh, understood. If anything, I hope that because of the actions of this manager, that their business is forced to make a family restroom just to like spend money, and deal with this situation.
Quote, a grown man should not be in the women's restroom.
15-year-old's a grown man now. Holy moly.
The manager said in a crowded lobby, according to the suit.
I mean, who's the groomer now? I'm sorry, but if you think a 15-year-old is a grown man, what is wrong with you? That guy, he doesn't even look like a grown man. He looks like a young guy, a young kid. What?
Quote, this is not a transgender restroom, the manager or the mother and the fifth suit alleged. One woman looking at me smiling. The 59-year-old manager of the movie theater wasn't as understanding, the suit alleges. The manager angrily approached and shouted blatantly discriminatory remarks toward the mother and the 15-year-old, the lawsuit alleges. Quote, a grown man should not be in the women's restroom, the manager said in the crowded lobby, according to the suit. Quote, this is not a transgender bathroom. And there it is. This is not a transgender bathroom.
Yeah, I mean, this is really sparked up because the whole conversation has gotten out of control where people are you see how people are looking for problems. What this is like a thing when something happens to you in the real world, the goal of it is not to be as extreme as possible. Like I was walking to 7-Eleven yesterday and a guy drove really quickly past me and almost hit me with his car. Right? And he ended up being at the 7-Eleven too. So I was in there with him. And I could have done a number of things. I decided to do nothing because I'm like, I'm alive. I don't feel like dealing with it. Whatever. If I decided to approach him like, hey man, you almost hit me, that would be fine too. But if you're looking to escalate, I could have went in there and started screaming, right? You have to be a little bit more responsible with the way that you interact with information in the world. You can't just go insane and start claiming that it's like somebody is LG. And even if they were, who cares? Like, let them use it. I don't care. It's a bathroom. You don't care. I just want to be clear. You don't care about who's using the bathroom. You just don't. I'm tired of like talking about like, oh, I'm worried that someone's going to go into the women's bathroom and they're going to pretend to be a woman because it's not trans people that would hurt women in the women's bathroom. It would be a man pretending to be a woman. And they're going to come in there and they're going to hurt me. We can't let that happen. Right, because the fucking rapist, murderer that wants to harm women, he's like, oh, there's a law against me raping and murdering. I guess I can't do it now because I can't pretend to be a fucking woman. Right, that's what's happening. That makes perfect fucking sense. They're just like waiting. It's like those signs that say, hey, you can't have a gun here. That stops all the criminals from having guns, right? The reality is if you have a predator, the bathroom law is not going to stop them. And also, I haven't seen any motherfuckers give a goddamn shit about like young boys getting molested in the boys' room. It's clearly not about getting molested in the bath. It's I get being uncomfortable. Sure, that's fine. But it's not like it's over exaggerated to like such a hyperbolic, disproportionate point. It's crazy. And if you are so worried about this fantasy scenario that doesn't happen, then you should be more worried about your kids going to church. Because I'm sure that there are more kids getting molested out of church than there are kids getting molested by people pretending to be LGBTQ in the bathroom. I'm guaranteeing that. I put my life on it. So, no, they don't care. People don't care. I guess people don't understand what I mean. When I say people don't care, what I'm saying is they don't care as much as they're saying they care. It is disproportionate. They're being told to care. People are being told to care about things that they don't really care about. They're getting worked up. You're seeing on Fox News, this is what they're seeing. They're constantly seeing conservative content creators on Fox News telling them that gay things are everywhere. It's in your face. No, it's not. It's not in your face. The only thing where LGBTQ stuff is in your face is on Fox News because they're shoving it in your face to make you upset and worked up. You know what's in your face? Religion. It's on every dollar bill. It's in every cemetery. It is everywhere. When you go to the store, there are sections that have it, and I'm fine with it, but that's in your face, okay? Gay stuff is not in your face unless you're going to a place where it's not in your face. No, you're just wrong. I guess it depends on the individual. No, people are being told to be angry. People are getting riled up about LGBTQ. They don't care as much about it. Most conservatives will even say like, "Oh, I have a little bit of an issue with the LGBTQ community, but I feel like we should talk about other topics." People are being told to care. That's what it comes down to. And that's how we got to like this panic of like, oh my God, the world's going to end. You know, I'm sure they care a little bit, but it's been exacerbated exponentially because there's nothing else for conservatives to talk about except for hating gay and trans people. That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. Rare Papa got L. You totally understand why it makes women uncomfortable. I understand why it might make them a little uncomfortable, but there's so like other countries, other first world countries don't even have gendered bathrooms because it's not that big of a deal. I understand a locker room, but a regular bathroom, really not as big of a deal. You know, unless it's like some kind of a seedy, shady spot, it's really not as big of a deal. And again, like there's no trans people hurting kids in bathrooms. It's not happening. So.
But that begs the question: if somebody is trans,
but there's plenty of priests doing it, and that's what I'm saying. The reason I'm saying they don't care is because there's more. They're more upset about this potential theoretical thing that's not happening, which is trans people or people pretending to be trans hurting people, versus the literal priests that are molesting kids. That's what I'm saying. There's a cognitive dissonance. It's acceptable for your kid to get harmed if it's in a church. We'll still take our kids to church, even though there's clearly an entire network of this shit going on and being covered up. That's one thing. But this amorphous bathroom problem that's not really happening. Like, we need to focus on this. We're going to find the one case that happened in the past 10 years, and we're going to reinforce that, and we're going to hammer it. But then when it comes to kids getting shot at schools, they go, well, it's really, if you think about it, how many kids are really in danger in school shootings? Not that many. Let's keep our gun. There's a cognitive dissonance. Right? And you could say, I don't want anybody to hurt kids. It doesn't. What you're saying is different from what's being enacted by the conservatives, by the Republican Party. That's what I'm saying. I understand you'll say, I don't want to take kids hurt, period. But then bring it to LGBTQ people again. The drag queens. People shit themselves. Oh my God, look at how sexual the drag queens are. This is horrible. This is terrible. But when it's a woman at a concert doing it, conservatives don't care. When it's fucking when it's like the fucking what is it called? The beauty pageants where you're having 14-year-old girls dressed disgustingly. The conservatives don't care. When it comes to the fucking cheerleaders, like fucking pushing their body in disgusting ways, conservatives don't care. But when it comes to the gay man, grown man dressed with some fake boobies, all of a sudden we are shitting. I would be more open to thinking that you actually cared if we banned beauty pageants, or at the very least, like, regulated them in some way. Because some of the fucking clothes are insane. Right? That's the point. It's like when it comes to LGBTQ, oh my God, everything could possibly be bad. But when it comes to everything else, it's okay. It's okay to bring your fucking 14-year-old son to Hooters. It's okay to have your 12-year-old sexualized in a beauty pageant. It's okay to have your 11-year-old sexualized as a cheerleader. It's okay but it's not okay for a grown man to have. And I'm not saying kids should be around it. My point is there's a massive cognitive dissonance. It's normal. That's what it is. And I think it's because of the normalization of sexualizing girls. So it's okay. But then if it's a guy, oh my God, there's more fear of a boy becoming feminine than there is of a girl getting sexual, like being overly sexualized as a child. This is the point that I'm making. And conservatives aren't complaining about the young girls getting sexualized. They're only complaining about the boys, the grown men that are getting sexualized. That's the point that I'm making here. Okay, that's where I'm coming from. So it is over exaggerated, 10,000%. Right? So that's what I'm saying.
And wants to use the bathroom. Do they just have to hold it if they go to that movie theater because this manager is a transphobe? I mean, you have a mother who is taking her 15-year-old son to the bathroom because he needs her assistance, but automatically people assume she's doing that for nefarious reasons. And not only were they kicked out by the manager, but the manager then instructed the assistant manager to call the police on them. And when the police got there, they confirmed that they had to leave because it was a private establishment.
What? That's insane. Wait, they should be able to go and sue for ableism as well.
And now the mother is suing, as the article implied, and as LGBTQ Nation explains, Gallinar's lawsuit accuses the theater, its corporate owners, Nicolette and Mansueto, of violating the New Jersey law against discrimination, which includes protections against discrimination on the basis of disability. Yeah, so the manager thought that she was discriminating against a transgender person, but she was in fact discriminating against somebody who is disabled. Now, both forms of discrimination are still deeply immoral and wrong, full stop, but because of this climate fostered by the right, it has become socially acceptable to explicitly be discriminatory toward trans people.
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
What makes matters so much worse in this particular story is that the manager chose to accost this mom and her son on her own volition. No other patrons were complaining. In fact, as the mom stated, a mother smiled at her, basically tacitly acknowledging she understands why she has to bring her son into the women's restroom. I mean,
yeah, that makes sense to me.
The boy wasn't claiming...
This is in New Jersey? I thought this would be in fucking Alabama. Okay, I thought it would have been in Alabama, bro.
Claiming that he was trans, so he can go into the women's bathroom and perv on women. Nobody came to the manager and made that allegation, right? It's obvious to the patrons why the mom was bringing her son in there. But the manager, who was probably just drunk on right-wing Kool-Aid, decided to take matters into her own hands to protect women from the scary person that she thought was trans that did not need her protection.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also don't think that that woman should be fired, to be honest with you. I think that they need to lose the lawsuit. That woman needs to be disciplined, but I don't think that firing is necessarily going to make her, grow and be a better person. You know what I mean? I'm just like, but definitely has to be like, there has to be a punishment. I mean, she gets fired. It is what it is. But, I don't necessarily believe in firing or immediately, even if with bad behavior. I think that there can be some kind of that she should be forced to go to some kind of a sensitivity course. I know you guys think that's silly and cringe, but listen, having to sit through a 10-hour sensitivity course, that'll remove your transphobia. All right, you might still think it, but you're not going to act on it because who wants to sit through a 10-hour course? You know what I mean? No, but I think that that's a better way. I think it's better to socially educate rather than to completely or destroy somebody for. I mean, what she did was wrong. They needed to lose a lawsuit. She needs to be punished, maybe a week's suspension or something, and plus force an unpaid sensitivity training for her to keep her job. So yeah. Why is it not playing this alert?
Z King
it is
$5. Exactly, they just virtue signal to feel morally superior, yet they look the other way for children getting neglected, more often young girls than boys.
Yeah, for sure. And here's the thing. The left is virtue signaling too. The problem is that what the left is virtue signaling about is usually more right than what the right is. I don't know what to tell you. When people in the left virtue signal about climate change disproportionately, it's like they're right overall, but you're chill the fuck out. Same thing with healthcare and stuff. You're right. And this goes to a whole conversation about because left-leaning ideas are so acceptable, people don't necessarily understand why. They know they're right, but they don't know why they're right. We talked about that before. Everybody does it. It's just that there's more factual foundation for the left's virtue signal than the right's virtue signal. To be honest with you, Yeah, there's something I was going to say and I forgot to say. Oh, yeah, Tucker Carlson had fucking Andrew Tate, a sex trafficker, on his channel, and he didn't even push back against him. Try to explain to me. This is the most popular conservative pundit. Had Andrew Tate on. Andrew Tate said, oh, I'm being arrested for forcing girls to do TikTok, and Tucker Carlson's oh, sure. That's factually inaccurate, right? If you look through what Andrew Tate has said, he did it. He admits it in all of his old shit. That's the evidence against him is his words. But you don't even have to think he did it. Objectively, the report says that he's being charged with sexual violence and sex trafficking. And when Tate was oh, I didn't do anything violent. It was just for TikToks. Tucker Carlson could have just literally been well, that's not what the fucking lawsuit says, Tucker. I mean, Andrew, he didn't want to. That's where we are. When the biggest conservative pundit is saying that kind of shit, it's hard to defend, especially Fox News viewers. Candace Owens didn't push back either. I haven't seen it, so I can't say 100%, but I wouldn't doubt that. So it's really hard. I think it's hard to be a conservative nowadays because there's mainstream massive pundits are being rape apologists. That is what Tucker was. That's what it is. If you defend Andrew, I don't know what else to tell you. Because that's also charged that he was sexually assaulting women. I don't know what else to tell you. And that's your guy. That's your guy. That's your guy, bro. You know what I mean? It's so, like there really needs to be like a conservative revolution where conservatives are like, listen, this is fucking crazy. We just want more fiscal responsibility, right? That's what I feel like. That's what most conservatives want. I'd like to think that, but it's going so crazy, man. We got to have media classes to teach people how to de-escalate on media thought, like on and social media thought. Play the video.
It's just, this is what happens when you see nonstop anti-trans propaganda in media and not enough trans voices to dispel these myths. Now, if the theater had a family bathroom, i.e. a gender-neutral bathroom, then I'm sure that the mother would have opted for that instead.
The only reason I don't want a gender... Okay, listen, here's my thing. They should have gender-neutral bathrooms, but leave the men's bathroom by itself. And I'm going to explain to you why. Because the lines are so goddamn long. The lines are so goddamn long. Like, I don't want to have to wait on a line with women who take years to go pee-pees. All I got to do is pull my pants down and then pee, and I'm done. I'm out. Don't even have to wash my hands. That's how good I am. I don't want to share a bathroom with women. It's my privilege to go to the Disney park and immediately go pee. But then again, I'm married to a woman, so it takes her a while anyway. Actually, maybe it'd be cool. We could go to the bathroom together. We wouldn't go in the same stall. Although, maybe we would. You know, we would just go into the same stall. She'd go first, and I would go. Nothing sexual. I mean, we would just... It was easy to go pee-pees like that. We did that at parties, too. You know, it's like, oh, you gotta go to the bathroom? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And we just go to the bathroom together, and we just talk. You know, and then I go pee, and she goes pee. It's pretty much... Yeah, washing her is a waste of time. They're gonna get dirty anyway. You know what I mean? Who cares?
But since that wasn't an option, she had to make do with what she had. And since her son had to use the bathroom, she just took him into the women's bathroom. It was fine. Wasn't an issue until the manager made it an issue, right?
Yeah,
but you'd be mistaken to think that that would somehow quell the concerns of transphobes, because apparently gender-neutral bathrooms is also very controversial. For example, this is how...
I think they do that all the time in Sweden and stuff. Like, who cares?
One man in Fairview, Ohio, reacted in a Petco when he saw that they had gender-neutral bathrooms because, oh my God, how dare you throw that in my face?
Is this a Petco? He's right. Look, there's a groomer right here.
I thought I was. She said she was. Stop with the general neutral shit. Men and women are different.
Who cares? It's a bathroom. It's really not a big deal. Like, yeah, men and women are different, right? I understand locker rooms to feel a little bit safer, but in general, locker rooms are insane, by the way. I remember when I was in school, this is different now, but we had to change in front of each other. It's fucking scary. Like, I hated it. We got to get rid of locker rooms in general. Yeah, men and women are different. I don't think it's a big deal of having a gender neutral bathroom, especially if it's like a single stall bathroom. You know what I mean? Who cares? Who really gives a shit? You know?
Pass it up the chain.
Pass it up the chain, guys. Oh yeah, well, do you have that? Do you own that dog with your wife? Oh, where's your how come you don't have a gender specific dog? If you don't have two dogs in your house, one for your husband and one for your wife, then that's a gender neutral dog, and that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. You better get another dog, because every person, a man and women, are so different. And we have to make sure that you only are allowed to get certain dogs. I think dachshunds are for women. Chihuahuas are for women. Bulldogs are for men. You know what I mean? Like, we have to make sure we gender the dog breed. Same thing with cats. Gender the cat breed. All right, we have to make sure we sit down and meticulously go through what is and isn't gendered, what should and shouldn't be gendered. Because if we don't do that, cars. Oh, I shouldn't be allowed to own a Kia Soul. That's a girl's car. That's a girl's car, right? We should just gender everything. The point that I'm making is that we have a ton of gender neutral things that we just don't think about. Like jeans are gender neutral. People used to cry about women wearing fucking jeans. Right? We're much more gender neutral than we think. So, something to think about.
Listen, you might think that he's a petulant man baby, but I think his rage is totally justified considering the fact that they had a big sign that said grooming,
True.
which I'm sure is a reference to their gender-neutral bathroom. So they're actually advertising the fact that they're grooming at that Petco. They're just admitting it now. I'm
Exactly.
joking about this, but there's
Well,
going to come a time
could
probably
tell.
where somebody goes viral for claiming that like a dog
Why do you want to do a viewer call-in? What do you want to?
groomer
What do you want to ask?
is grooming kids or something. Like that's how stupid the climate is, right? That's how
I
high
don't
the
think that people
hysteria
think that.
in this current
I
climate
think they probably know that's a dog grooming thing since he has a dog. In
is, right? And listen, I don't understand why all of a sudden gender neutral bathrooms are suddenly controversial. I mean, I do, but at the same time, they've always existed. Family
True.
bathrooms have always existed. I mean,
And like when I used to go to Friendly's back in the day, they used to just have 2 bathrooms. It wasn't man and woman. It was just 2 individual stall bathrooms. So.
I remember as a child, my mom would take me to those as a kid, so that way she wouldn't, let me use the men's bathroom alone, right? But then again,
Yeah.
I did also grow up to be gay, so I guess that maybe the family bathrooms groomed me. Maybe that's why they're bad, and I'm not helping the case. But I mean, you see the point that I'm trying to make, right? You see the
My mom didn't teach me how to wipe my butt, so I wipe standing up now. So I wish my mom took me to the bathroom more. Now I feel embarrassed when I talk about it. I don't know why I talked about it.
problem. The environment for LGBTQ plus people is so toxic that even straight cis people are experiencing anti-LGBTQ plus bigotry. And
Well, you know when straight people are starting to experience bigotry, now we know we have to start making some changes, okay?
anti-queer hatred has manifested in much more nefarious ways. So over the weekend in Watertown, Wisconsin, LGBTQ advocates hosted an all-ages Pride in the Park event that featured, wait for it, drag queen story hour and a drag show, where drag queens sang show tunes and waved around a trans flag, which is apparently very controversial.
Yeah, who cares? Literally, who cares? This is a nothing. First of all, it's a show. You could take your kid or you cannot take your kid. That's number 1. Number 2, I have to poo. Number 2, they're not dressed like overly sexual.
Advocates hosted an all-ages Pride in the Park event that featured, wait for it,
Maybe her dress could be a little longer, but outside of that, it's really not that big of a deal. If it was 2 women dressed exactly the same way, conservatives would have 0 issue with it. They'd probably even go. And they'd be like, the guys would be like, oh my God, there's a woman. I'm not in love with my own wife because I'm forced to be with her. This is so hot. They're not dressed in like a sexual way. It's just people reading in drag. Do I think it's provocative? The climate has deemed it as such, but who cares? It's not a big deal.
drag queen story hour and a drag show, where drag
Look at this. She's dressed like princess. Who cares? I personally, I don't think I would take my kid there, but if my wife was like, I'm taking our kid to the drag show, I would go with her though still, because if a conservative starts screaming when my fucking kid was around there, I mean, somebody has to do something to stop them. So, but who cares? This is fine.
queens sang show tunes and waved around a trans flag, which is apparently very controversial.
Who cares?
But the event drew the ire of
The gays against grooming is such like a bullshit grift. It's just like it's conservative gay people and you're against trans people. Like just say conservatives against trans people. It's not grooming. That's nothing. Your kid's not getting groomed because they're seeing a fucking guy in a dress. Like it's not happening. It's just not happening. If that's grooming, so is every religion. Religion is now grooming too. If we're gonna call fucking trans people grooming, okay, grooming is not. Oh, I see a gay person or a trans person or something. It's not grooming. Grooming is like a deep methodical process of setting somebody up for sexual. Well, typically a child for sexual exploitation. Okay. Like, it's not just seeing, like, if my kid sees a gay guy dressing as a dress and goes, wow, I like that, then my kid was already gay. Okay, whatever. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It didn't, the machine isn't starting to tumble in your head. It's just ridiculous. What the fuck? If that was grooming, then so is taking your kid to a beach with girls in bikinis. You're grooming them too. I don't know what to tell you. You just don't like gay people. That's all it turns out. That's all it comes down to.
bigots like Gays Against Groomers who showed up to protest the event, along with anti-gay Christians, and some of them attempted to infiltrate the event as well, and then they were escorted off of the property since the LGBTQ plus hosts.
That's the problem too, is that like there's an incentive to do that kind of behavior. They get to make viral social media posts about it. They're not going there because they actually care. They're going there because they want to make content out of it and be able to be featured on Gays Against Groomers. That you have to be very aware of some people's intentions when they do things. Like they don't care about the event. If social media didn't exist and they knew about it, they still wouldn't go because it's not about that. It's just about like getting your 15 seconds of fame. That's all it's about.
had gotten a permit for the event. So let's watch.
So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created him, male and female. He created them. Oh, shit. That's them. He created them. That's trans.
Spread it around everywhere.
I hope you don't film that. That would be disgusting.
I want it. Where's the sign that said God says slavery is okay? I want to be such a fucking religious purist. Where's the sign that says that slavery is okay? And if you're going to sit here and do mental gymnastics saying, no, the Bible doesn't say it's okay, even though it says you could beat your slaves as long as with other men, right? It's like, you shall not lay with a boy like you do with a woman. So, like, we can't, if you can change the Bible from justifying slavery in your mental gymnastics, we can say that it's okay to be gay, according to the Bible. So I think that we can manage it. I think we can, together, we can do it. We can do it. We can do it, guys.
Don't film that. That would be disgusting.
This is disgusting. You guys need to stand up against this. It's disgusting and rotten.
What's disgusting about it?
Yes, it is.
That guy's beard? No, he has a nice beard. What's disgusting about it? Like, that's the thing. This is how we have to respond to this. When they go, this is disgusting. Why? Like, literally ask why. What's disgusting about it? Oh, it's grooming. Why? How is this grooming? Oh, well, you know, you're teaching kids that that men can dress up as women. Why? Okay. What is that? How is that grooming? That's certainly gay. How is that grooming? Oh, you're going to make them get... No, there's nothing to support that. There's nothing that's disgusting about it. You just think it's weird and uncomfortable. And we sit here and we criticize all these people, all this young generation, all these 15-year-olds. You're a snowflake. Oh, you think time blindness is real? You want accommodation? Snowflake, 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 snowflake. The second you see a dude in a dress that looks more attractive than your wife, you have a fucking meltdown to the point where you have to show up and crash an event because appropriately dressed men in drag are there. That's what it boils down to. That's all it boils down to. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you, okay? Frankly, I think you're upset because you want to fuck that person. And you're coping because you were forced to get married because of, like, religious law. And that's what it comes down to. This is the real snowflake.
What law are we breaking? Well, what law would we be breaking? Ask you not to be here. Just because they don't...
I mean, it's a law. Wouldn't they be trespassing? Right? Doesn't that place have like its own personal property and they have the right to not have them on the premises? What law am I breaking? Property laws. What is that?
Want me to be here doesn't mean I'm breaking the law.
If they have the entire park reserved, they can ask you to get me here and ask us to enforce it.
So you're saying I have to leave this park?
I'm saying you have to go on that side of the fence.
I'm like 95% sure that Christian protester we just saw is a closeted homosexual, by the way.
I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting that. I was out of fucking pocket, brother. Come on, man. Oh, sorry. That kind of got me there.
But regardless, you know, there was a lot of outrage by the protesters that showed up. However, Gays Against Groomers and the Christian protesters weren't alone because they had backup. And
personally, I don't think that you can work with... I don't think that you're allowed to be against grooming and also support religion if you think that trans people are grooming people, then religious people have been doing it much more. Sorry, that if your bar for grooming is gay people, then religion is 1,000% more grooming. I don't know what to tell you. From your child's birth, you're gonna dip. This is literally you're gonna put them in water to free them from their sin that they have to spend their whole lives acting absolutely perfectly, or a person in the sky will identify their incredibly inappropriate behavior, and they will send them to hell eternally. But the only communication to that person in the sky, to that God, our God, is a priest who you are not allowed to tell mom or dad anything that goes on in that isolation between you and that priest. Like, talk about a fucking recipe for disaster. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. And I swear to God, by the way, this whole say 3 Hail Marys, say 7 Hail Marys, whoever came up with that just had OCD. Because I have to touch my locks on my doors. Right now, for some reason, it's 12 now. I don't know why. But it's 12 times for the front and the back door. or else something bad will happen. I don't know what'll happen, but that's what I think because I'm fucking crazy. That's just what happened when we did a religion. Some guy was like, I had to say it 7 times or else it wouldn't work. Oh, shit, really? Yeah, you do that too. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I'm saying Hail Mary 7 times. Let's be real. Let's just be honest.
When I say they had backup, I mean Nazis also showed up.
Incredible. Wow. Okay. Jesus Christ.
There will be blood! 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 On our streets! No pedals on our streets! No pedals on our streets! There will be blood! 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 Pedophiles get the rope! Pedophiles get the rope!
That's fine, but these are Nazis that think that everybody that's like not white should get the rope. So if you're on their side, you should consider maybe you're wrong. Because that's insane. Nazis showed up? Okay.
There will be blood! Blood!
Didn't expect this. It's supposed to be out of love and gathering and neo-Nazis here.
That's crazy. Hey guys, who's worse? The person in drag reading books to kids appropriately dressed, or the neo-Nazis that think that hard genocide was okay? I don't know it's a hard balance here. Oh, which way does the scale tip? Conservatives? I want to see the public denouncing of that. Holy fuck. That's insane. Shut the fuck up. Okay. All right. Get out of here. If Papa God had an eye tracker, he would be screwed right now. Shut up. Just stop.
I would want them to know that, first of all, you can't.
Just stop. You guys are so inappropriate. How about this? We'll make it easier.
All the pedophiles, if majority of the pedophiles are in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Oh, base. Got him.
Queer people as pedophiles and calling for their deaths. Now, remember the young Christian man who showed up to voice his displeasure with the Pride event?
Okay.
Well, the Nazis had a special message for him in particular as they were leaving.
What?
Blood! Blood! God bless. Jesus loves you, brother.
Wow. Okay.
Keep fighting, young man.
I mean, if a Nazi told me to keep fighting the good fight, I would take that as a sign that maybe I'm on the wrong side of history and I should probably
maybe a little bit. Or at least I say you guys need to leave. Like, you guys are not good. You're bad people.
Evaluate all of my political views. But I mean, regardless, if the Christians or gays against groomers showed up with the Nazis, they were all there, united with the same message of hate.
Sure.
But all across the country, this vitriol towards queer people, it's already led to violence. Like, you see that they're chanting blood, 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 and you think, oh my God, somebody's going to get killed. But
yeah, Jesus loves hatred, yeah.
Need I remind you, it's already...
Yep, that's why. But God bless you. Stay with Jesus. Blood, kill people. Kill gay people for virtue of their existence. This is not a hateful message. It's crazy.
Happened. Last year, the Club Q shooting ended in the deaths of 5 people who attended a drag show. And just a couple of days ago, 28-year-old O'Shea Sibley, a gay black man, was stabbed to death at a mobile gas station in Brooklyn after he and his friends got into a confrontation with young men who confronted them because they were offended by their dancing to music while they waited for their card to fill up.
What? What the fuck? It was not funny because somebody died, but they were dancing to music. Was the music happen to be gay or something? What is it? This is insane.
Now, NYPD's Hate Crime Task Force is currently investigating the incident as a hate crime. But I mean, that's not the first, and it's not going to be the last. So when our culture collectively experiences a heightened level of sensitivity towards queer people or any marginalized group of people due to propaganda, I mean, it's just inevitable that harassment and hate crimes are going to follow, cause and effect, right? But hopefully this video demonstrates that it's not just queer people who experience anti-LGBTQ plus discrimination. In many instances, it's so widespread, so ubiquitous that it also affects disabled people sometimes, cis girls, cis women sometimes. All kinds of non-queer people are affected by this bigotry, which is why all of us have an incentive to not allow it to happen, to push back at it whenever we see it. And all of this is an effort by the right to force queer people back into the closet, because this backlash against queer people has brewed specifically, not just because of propaganda, but also because of a heightened visibility towards LGBTQ plus people. And the goal here is to intimidate us so as to push us back into the closet. But it's not queer people who should be forced back into the closet. It's the Nazis and all of us who are against the Nazis.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that they are so brazenly protesting at all is insane. Nazis. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I understand freedom of speech, but Nazis are under less fire than gay and trans people, and that's insane.
Nazis should view this as a group effort to get...
Like, you notice this. Let's say that at that event where there were... What would they say? That there were the gays against grooming, Christians, and Nazis. My real question was, and maybe we just didn't get shown it, Where was the outrage that the Nazis were there? When that Nazi said something to that 18-year-old, why didn't you go, fuck you? Now, there might be a few reasons. One might be because you're afraid of them. Okay. I mean, now you're telling me that the only reason that you attack people is if you feel like they're not a threat to you. So I think that that's an interesting thing to think about. That you only feel comfortable attacking people when you don't feel like they're an actual threat to you. And I think that's the real kicker there. So
them to go back into the closet, because queer people should feel safe to be open about who they are, but Nazis should not in a civilized society.
All right. Pretty based. Cool stuff.